Hello, my name is Caden Graves, and this is The Demon in the Details. You are listening to KNWD News, the news you want from the demon you love. This segment will cover the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and the effects it had on the mental health of college students here at NSU. This first interview is with Amber Holmes, a counselor here at Northwestern State University. Hello, my name is Caden Graves, and I'm here with
Amber Holmes, one of the counselors in the Counseling Center.
Okay, so this is going to be about the post-pandemic, like trauma, how it's affected students. Were you working here before COVID?
No, not before COVID, but I kind of came in right as it was like slacking up. But I've been in the mental health field before COVID, so I've definitely seen the change and how it impacted people and things like that.
Okay, so like in terms of students, what kind of impact do you believe like it left on like a college campus?
As far as a college campus, it definitely made like the hybrid and the online learning a little bit more accessible and different. I think that the students were able to see that they could still get their work done online versus, coming to campus and having that responsibility of, having to be here, be on time and things like that. But I also think that a lot of students were able to see that they didn't like that.
Yeah.
And as far as how the pandemic came and created this massive shift of how we function on an everyday basis, I think a lot of students, along with the difference in generation, kind of got used to not having to do a whole lot. You know what I mean? Kind of like, it's going to sound harsh, but like the laziness elevated. Yeah. If I may say so myself.
Yeah, see, I was going to ask, I was like, do you believe that there's been like a drop-off of ambition with students?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I was here before COVID happened, and I remember like organizations like PLP or even Greek Life, they had hundreds of members. Now, they're in like the 30s to 60s.
Yep.
It's just, it's crazy just how much it's
changed, yeah, for sure.
And like I know in high schools, like, do you believe that, quarantine during high school kind of messed up these kids? It's formative.
Yeah, I think quarantine really took away that excitement factor about that shift. It's almost as if they missed that shift. Like they missed the part where you were able to actually celebrate your accomplishment, right? Yeah. And when you're in the fact of celebrating something, you actually get to be surrounded by people that support you, and you actually see how important it is to you and for you and people around you. So not being able to celebrate that and just kind of have to in so many words, skip past it or fast forward. Now you're in this spectrum where you're having to adjust to adult life or college life. It's different. You didn't really get the time to adjust. You didn't get to mingle how you wanted to. So definitely affected the ones coming from high school to here. So you being a counselor on campus, do you believe that COVID kind of had a surge in students come to counseling? I do, yes.
Okay.
I do. I feel that way, or I believe that, because I feel during the pandemic and quarantine, a lot of people, students included, had a lot of time to just sit with their own thoughts and stuff. So that means, a lot of stuff came up. A lot of trauma was relived, being stuck in certain environments with certain, certain experiences. Yeah. Let alone the, just the availability of mental health resources and how widespread it has become. So not only am I sitting with my issues, but I'm also being able to connect with other people who have similar issues. So let me go and use this resource, because I do feel a way. I am struggling, and now I know that I can get help for what I'm dealing with. This next conversation I had was with Michaela Koberline. She's a grad student here at NSU, and she's currently doing her internship in the Counseling Center.
All right, so obviously everybody knows that, the pandemic happened and we're still dealing with the repercussions of that. And when did you come to school here?
I started in the fall of 2021.
Okay. Do you think, in terms of students, what kind of impact do you believe the pandemic left on campus?
I definitely think you see a lot of lingering anxiety, depression, just because, like, you think of people being, like, enclosed in those spaces for so long, being transferred to online classes. Some people don't do well with online learning, so that in itself brings a whole new level of anxiety of, am I doing well in classes? Am I doing the homework? Am I actually learning the material? As well as the social aspect of not being able to see your friends, and like the worries of your own health, the worries of others. I think the pandemic like affected people in many different areas and in many different ways.
Okay, so you kind of answered one of my questions about, like, have you heard of the post-pandemic syndrome? Which was pretty much the fear of infection, quarantine, isolation.
You see a little bit of it. I mean, it depends on every person, like definitely the way you're raised, definitely like your beliefs, and I hate to bring politics into it, but like all of that definitely like plays a factor in what you believe. I mean, some people are just more on the safe side. Some people like to play things more safe. Some people are definitely ready to get back to their normal lives pre-pandemic. So you're going to see different things with different people just depending on like what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, so I know that you probably see a few students in here. I know you can't talk about any specifics, but do you think there's any, like, I don't know, is there like either more or less like before the pandemic or after the pandemic? Is there like a surge?
I mean, you hear all over that there was a surge, but I think a lot of it is because the mental health is like starting to be less stereotyped and like becoming more less stigmatized, that people are feeling more comfortable reaching out for help. And I think especially after that just contributed to the fact of like people are like more understanding of like their mental health. People are more understanding of what they're going through. They have a little bit more insight. So they're understanding themselves to a point that maybe they know that they need a little bit of extra help. I mean, do I think that it definitely could have exacerbated some people's symptoms and some people's feelings? Absolutely. But that's kind of like a general, you'll see like there was a surge. But I think that there's been an increase growing regardless of the pandemic because of it becoming less stigmatized.
Okay. So obviously you're a master's student.
Yes.
So do you think, just out of like you before COVID and after COVID, do you think there's a difference, whether that be in like ambition or, you know, just willing to get out there?
For me personally, I've always been a very outgoing person and very like personable. Like I love being out and socially.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it's made me more ambitious or made me want to go out more. I think it's made me treasure and more like see like how worth all of these situations are. Like I do take the time to go spend time with my friends because like you went through all of those years of not like seeing your family, seeing your friends. Like it's made me treasure the in-person interactions more.
COVID was a very scary time for all of us. If you feel like you need help, go to the Counseling Center on the 3rd floor of the Student Union. This has been Caden Graves with The Demon in the Details.